Grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4. Everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause of sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, really gon' rise to the sun. Step 2. Get some good, some food in you. Step 3. Grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4. Everybody just do your thing.
Good morning, everybody. I am JJW, and this is my friend Deacon over there, right over there, just in the other room. And it is September 27th, 2022, and we are going to be your two dads. We're going to talk about news and politics and international stuff maybe today, and also we got some, a few updates on stories that we carry. Good morning, Deacon. How are you?
What's up? Hello. Sorry, I had a radio emergency there right at the
Yeah, he's doing radio stuff. Man, I've been having like this throat thing the last couple of days. I know it's drainage, and I know like in like 3 days it's going to be like a chest and like a respiratory infection. It's this the way it goes every year. So I woke up this morning, I drank some NyQuil, I drank some tea, trying to like get my vocal cords to like, wash out or clear out or something, and it just feels so constricted, and it's not good.
Yeah,
it's ouch. It's ouch. Yeah,
that's what we had was the upper respiratory stuff, and Ashley's just now getting over it. She had it a month.
Oh yeah, that sucks.
Yeah,
it's awful. All right, well, Deacon, we got some big news today, but I want to touch on a few little stories that are updates on things that we've covered before, and then we'll talk about this big thing, the title thing on the show.
Okie dokie.
All right, and I'm gonna have to cook and book pretty quick this morning because I gotta go get a blood draw for the COVID vaccine trial thing.
Guinea pig.
Yeah, guinea pig in it.
You are a guinea pig.
I'm keeping America safe.
I appreciate that. I sure do, man.
I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, I just don't know if it's doing anything.
I just hope you're safe. All right. People are dropping dead, and we're like, I don't know why they're dropping dead. Yeah. So I mean, I just hope you're safe.
it's young people anyway.
Yeah, yeah, and
It's a whole thing.
we're
It's a whole
making up
thing.
shit called like adolescent sudden death syndrome.
Yeah.
and whatnot. We- okay, I just hope
All
you're
right.
safe.
So, yeah. So an update
Dude,
on the
really?
Alec Baldwin case. Yeah, Alec Baldwin could soon be facing charges in the Rust shooting. As you recall, over the summer, Alec Baldwin was holding a pistol, pointing it at a human, and it magically went off. And not Hilaria, that's his wife's name. Hutchins, a woman named Hutchins. I'm sorry, I don't see her name in here. Died.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin shot her and killed her. That's what happened. Halina Hutchins was shot and killed on the set of Rust by Alec Baldwin. Now, Alec Baldwin denies that he pulled the trigger, and the FBI says there's no way that gun can be shot without having the trigger pulled. So he's in a bit of a jam, but he's not the only one on the hook. There's up to 4 people that may be charged in the the technical definition of homicide is that if somebody dies in the presence of somebody else, you know that?
Right.
So in the homicide of Halina Hutchins.
I can't watch. I loved 30 Rock, and now you can't watch 30 Rock without thinking that Alec Baldwin, Jack Donaghy's character, could just straight up kill Liz Lemon at any time.
Yeah. I don't like what you're saying, Liz.
Bam!
Bang. Oh,
That
no,
show's
I didn't
great.
do it. The gun went off on its own. Liar.
Well, that's,
But of course,
okay.
if you're in his position, you can't just say like, yeah, it was an accident, I did it. You expose yourself to liability. You say
this
something
was
like that publicly.
If he wasn't a celebrity, it wouldn't be taking this long. Okay.
And homeboy would be in jail right now.
Yeah. Your
awaiting
celebrity
trial
status can't get you out of everything. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I kind of like him. Well, I don't know. I don't know what his politics are, and I don't know what any of his shit is. I
Oh.
just know that he's he's probably
Yeah.
crazy left. But I mean, I think he's a funny actor. That's what I'm basing my like him on.
Yeah.
I think he's a funny actor and a good
He was
actor.
good on 30 Rock.
Yeah, I liked him on 30 Rock. He was that part was
Well,
great.
he spent like 5 years being Donald Trump on SNL, which wasn't really that good, but he is a hard critic. Anyway, he killed this lady, so he could be facing charges soon, or maybe he'll get off scot-free. Don't know. I just want to update that. That could happen in days or weeks. So we don't know the time frame on that. I saw this yesterday, Deacon.
I saw this the other day.
Did you see this?
Yeah,
This
it's
is
crazy.
It's absolutely.
I did not
luckily,
know until like the other day that the suspect was still inside.
Yeah,
I just saw, and the dude just kind of walked and was like, "I don't know what to do." It didn't even look like he was trying to get the suspect out of the thing.
I know. So the deal is, I'm not going to play the video because
No, it's
YouTube.
just. I mean, it's not.
But
not safe
it's not.
for work, but it's
yeah,
not.
it is
nice.
not. It's not bloody, and it's not shock content. It is, but it is a little disturbing. So I think there was like 3 police vehicles. So there was like a woman was pulled over, and she was in custody. They pulled over this woman. They took her and they put her in the back of this SUV that was parked on the train tracks. And then they're talking and they're talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He parked it on the freaking the trained police officer. Parked it on the train track.
Yeah, and he's got her in the car on the train tracks, and then you hear the sound of the horn, and the cops are just talking to each other, honk, and they're just talking, and they're like, oh, wait a second, and the cops get out of the way just in time to them not be hit, but the SUV with the suspect inside gets hit by a train.
Can you
Now,
imagine?
luckily,
did she live?
At the time of the story published, I think she was in critical condition, but she's not. But she survived the initial impact. But I mean, she's about to be rich, dude.
She's fixing to be.
I
rich.
mean, there's no way.
I distrust the cops in this country more every second, you know, and I think there is a lot of sentiment going that way, and
Mm-hmm.
it scares me. They don't.
Yeah.
When I see a cop, I don't think, "Oh, I'm protected." I think, "Oh my God, there's a gang member."
How the fuck's this gonna go?
Yeah, how's this gonna go down? If he just decides to harass me, he can harass me whatever he wants to do. You know, they can do whatever they want to do. And I don't like that. And there has to be something done in this country. And the number one thing is, if you want to be a police officer, you're going to have to go through like a freaking 2 months of training before we hire you. We're not just going to hire Joe Schmo off the damn street anymore, because that's all 99% of your police officers in the Houston area are Joe Schmo off the damn street who think that they want to be a damn Army Ranger that never made it into the Army Rangers,
right?
Or they come back from over there and they're jarheads that are crazy and just wanted all the damn time. I lift weights. Issues. That's my whole identity, is lifting weights every day.
There are not enough police to handle the generally the number of people to be policed. The police that we have insufficient training. Like if you're a police officer and therefore you're the person that society says this person has the right to use force to detain people or whatever, then you should spend 20% of your week, like 1 out of every 5 days at least, in training. 20% of your time.
They should have weekly mental and physical type training on willpower.
Which that sounds burdensome. Dude, these are the police that are going to be interrupting, pulling people over and leaving them on train tracks.
Exactly. This is not part of your job. You want to be a police officer. This is what you have to do. And this is part of the job. You got to do this every week. You know,
over the last 2 years, you know what we saw? We saw state and local governments enforce mandates. And so good cops said, look, this is unconstitutional, or this is wrong, or this is abuse of powers or whatever. Good cops quit or retired or whatever, they got out. And you had a bunch of people that were left. They were like, whatever the state says, we're going to do. So you got a bunch of bad cops left in place. You have low training. You have then you have the Breonna Taylor, the George Floyd, all of that response to the use of force. So you have buildings burning, you have riots, things like that. So now you have police response times that are down. They are not inclined to immediately respond to an incident as fast as possible, because like first on the scene, you're going to be the first with a lawsuit.
Yeah,
they're not they're not as likely to use use force to stop an incident happening. There's been multiple cases where like people were being assaulted and the police were in earshot and weren't doing anything because especially if a white police officer pulls over a black suspect, it's like, well, you know, if I have to use force in this situation, I'm, I very well could be sued or put on leave or anything like that. So, it's not all the police fault. Some of it's society's fault, because we're putting pressure, we're putting social conditions and consequences in place that, like, if police do their jobs and use force against the suspect, and that suspect is black, then there could be cities being burnt down, or you could just go to jail, or you could get sued, or who knows what. So, you know, we are putting conditions on police that are not sustainable, because like they'll be held responsible for things that maybe they can't account for. And at the same time, we are not adequately training police to be able to account for the things that we need them to do. And the people that were good police gone, and we've got lackeys. So it's like a bad situation.
And they need to get rid of the unions. I honestly believe that there doesn't need to be unionized public sector positions.
I don't know what's going to happen with this person that got hit by a train, Fort Lupton, wherever that is. But I'll tell you what I think. I think that she shouldn't have been tailgating somebody, and also all the cops involved in this situation should be put on leave, possibly put in jail.
If you're
And-
tailgating somebody, should you be put in the back of a fucking police car? And I'm not saying that's the whole situation. There might have been something else going on.
Right. It could have
But
been driving under influence.
Yeah.
Morning, Dragon.
I have been put in the back of a police car. I will admit that I have been put in the back of a police car for something bullshit that shouldn't have been at all. And let me tell you what I got pulled over for and put in the back of the police car for.
Yeah,
I wasn't wearing my fucking seatbelt, JJ.
What?
So do you see now why maybe I'm kind of a little jaded? You know, just I mean, from
Sure, a little, yeah.
I read and whatnot, but I had 2 cops pull me over, Barney Fife and freaking Gomer Fife, his cousin, pull me over because I didn't have a seatbelt on, and then I end up in the back of a police car because of it.
Yeah, that seems a little. Well, I mean, unless there's some situation where they're having to search your vehicle or something like that, and had to keep you in custody.
Was not searched. I didn't have anything. I didn't.
Right.
I didn't have anything to worry about.
You know, the seatbelt is something that's like, look, it's obvious that it's safety for you to wear a seatbelt, right? But if you don't wear a seatbelt, who is going to get hurt? If you get in a car wreck, if seatbelt or no, you might hurt somebody else. But if you're not wearing a seatbelt or no, you're the only person that's going to get additionally hurt if you're not wearing a seatbelt.
Seatbelt law was just to help the insurance companies and to bring a little bit more revenue into the local.
Well, I mean, it does bring down fatalities. It does reduce fatalities.
Well, and that.
Yeah.
But,
so,
all
right. So
I could argue that we need to thin the herd a little bit. We just crossed over to 8 billion.
Oh, don't worry. Davos is working on that for you. There's going to be people starve. Don't worry about that.
Over to 8 billion. We don't have enough land left for them, JJ. You ever heard that one? We don't have enough land left for people to live on. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
All right, we got a little update on the Biden student loan giveaway. It seems like the Congressional Budget Office has determined that President Biden's loan forgiveness program will not be $300 billion; it will be $400 billion. So we're just going to spend $400 billion.
That's okay. We make the money. We can just print more. It's not a big deal. Jeez.
Now, in interest of full disclosure, we have started the paperwork at our house to just get some of that free money. So.
I would.
Look, it's stupid. The government should not be doing that. And also, we're going to take advantage of it.
If you, if your family is facing hard times and you have to rely on the government for a little bit of money, or maybe apply for the SNAP program and for the food stamp, it used to be called food stamps, the SNAP program.
Yeah.
Do you realize how much fucking money we pay into the government for bullshit? Take that shit. If you need it, take it. Don't feel ashamed because you're having to get money from the government. Fuck that. Take it.
Yeah, no, I don't feel ashamed. I don't feel ashamed. I just feel like this is ridiculous. But I'm it's not hypocrisy. It's not hypocrisy to say we shouldn't be doing this and also take the money.
We were taught from our generation that you need to work hard, son, and not rely on the government. Well, we worked hard, and the government took over 30% of our fucking paycheck every week.
Yeah.
So now that we've worked hard and the government took a third of it, and now we're kind of in a freaking rut and we actually need some help, I'm supposed to feel ashamed that I'm going to have to go and maybe apply for some sort of help? No, they make you feel that. Fuck that. People shouldn't feel ashamed to ask for help, especially from the government. Like you said, if the government's going to give you all some student loan, take that. I think it's stupid.
We have a real problem in terms of the education loan, predatory loan system. So that's
absolutely.
So we're gonna have to fix this someday.
You were I'm sure you and your wife and me. I'm sure Ashley was. I think she was. Yeah. We were all we were all prey.
I mean, it's worse. Loans. I made calculated decisions when we were younger, but there's people that are out of high school. They can barely add.
Out of high school. I was 18 years old, going up to the community college for 2 years, and they were saying, hey, we can give you this loan, this grant, and this loan, and all this, and you'll just have to pay this back. And after you get everything paid, you'll end up having about $200 left over. Well, that's freaking. You know,
We've
back
talked
then.
about this before. I don't think we have any
we actually have.
disagreement on this regard.
No.
So anyway, this is gonna be $400 billion. It's got a lot of money. So I'm trying to cook through these things. I'm sorry, guys. We got a
No,
bunch
you're
of things
good.
to
We've
hit.
got much stuff. Go through some of this real quick. I've got to go do this.
Yeah. So I mentioned yesterday that 40% of all debt accrued since the U.S. founding under Nancy Pelosi. I mentioned that yesterday. This is the story about that I had seen and I didn't have to cite yesterday. So it was Representative Thomas Massey, a Republican from Kentucky. Oh, from Kentucky. He's a I'm gonna have to mention that to Deacon. Who is the one who made this allegation or this assertion, 40% of debt accrued under Thomas Massey. A special Saturday edition of the podcast to talk to Thomas Massey to discuss the United States reaching $13 trillion in debt and how that's not correct. This is a typo, just the news. It's $31 trillion in debt. And how to Nancy Pelosi is responsible for over 40% of all debt that's been accumulated since the beginning of this country. The Kentucky congressman also discusses Republicans' new commitment to America, a roadmap for what Republicans will do if they win back the majority of the House in the November midterms. Massey commented that Republicans have got to be honest. You got to be believable. You have to say what you believe and believe what you say. And he encourages listeners, if polls start looking good for Democrats toward election day, I wouldn't necessarily believe that. Don't get disheartened. We have to turn out people. So if you're out there, folks, you need to make sure that you're registered to vote and you need to show up. It doesn't matter if the polls say, oh, the Democrats are leading. The Democrats are leading. The election polls have been wrong for the last 6 years and way wrong. So don't believe necessarily. Don't believe that the momentum is turning against you. But Thomas Massey, Deacon. He's not your congressperson. But he is a congressperson from Kentucky. He's the one that mentioned that Nancy Pelosi is responsible for 40% of $31 trillion in debt. Yeah. One of your Kentucky brothers. And he's actually really good. I listen to him sometimes on Forbes podcasts whenever they do clips from the Senate.
District. Well, yeah, he's not. The 4th district is not. Well, it's. Yeah, he's from Kentucky.
So on Saturdays, I usually mow the lawn, and there's no great YouTube shows on Saturdays that come out. So like during the week, I have a bunch of things that I listen to, but on Saturdays, don't have much. So I usually listen to Scott Adams from 9 to 10 or whatever, and then after that, my phone automatically just goes into playing YouTube clips from Forbes covering the House floor.
Scott Adams is getting his butt tore up in certain things that he said. I've read.
He got canceled. He got canceled out of 177 newspapers because he's tackling the ESG stuff. You heard about this ESG stuff?
I don't even know what that stands for.
Yeah, it's like environment, social governance scores, where basically companies have a financial incentive to be more woke, more diversity, more green, all of that kind of stuff. So he's tackling it. He's like, there shouldn't be anything between business and profit. It should be business, profit. It should be have motivations to make money, and that's what you do. You shouldn't put social issues in between there. You can have social issues, but a business should be because a business has, especially public businesses, have a fiduciary responsibility to shareholders. So you shouldn't be tacking on extra stuff in the middle.
I see what you're saying, and I don't disagree, but I have to accept that that's not the way of the world anymore. This is not 1990. It's 2022, and the world does not work that way anymore.
Wow.
As much as we want it to work that way, or as much as you want it to work that way or whatnot, and as much as it might be a positive way to do things, I personally don't believe that the world works that way anymore, and it's not moving in that direction. We are moving away from that direction. I think the companies are more, this is how we stand. This is how we feel. If you don't shop with us, you can kiss our ass. Don't shop with us.
Yeah.
Because there's no such thing as mom and pop stores that we care about your business. They don't care about your business. Because JJ, if you stop shopping at Home Depot because you're going to make a stand, do you think that's going to hurt Home Depot?
Right. Yeah. Well, no one person.
I say one person can't make a difference, Even
Here
when
we
one
have one
person
person
tries
who
to
can
make a
make a difference.
stand. Let's make a stand at Home Depot, and I've got 500 people in my YouTube
No,
or my Facebook
you-
group. It's not going to shop, and that's not going to make a difference, dude.
right.
You're fighting a
Well, here's
losing
the thing.
battle.
You can't do it and I can't do it, but Scott Adams might be able to do that because Scott Adams has been around for like 30 years, and the people that listen to Scott Adams,
A lot of people, you either like Scott Adams or you don't like Scott Adams.
right?
Because some people that I talk to, they're like, he's a loon. And I'm like, why is he
Well,
a
maybe.
loon? And they describe stuff that they say, and I'm like, oh, I don't know anything about him. I just know that I have some friends that like him and some friends that think he's crazy.
Yeah, so it's more about this. So Deacon, I am not in media. The
Right.
reach of my voice is about as far as this YouTube channel. So
Right.
like 4 people maybe on a good day. You are on radio,
Good
and so
day.
the reach of your voice is probably like 50,000 people on a day, but you don't abuse that for other issues. It's about so for any given, it's not like any one person can make all the difference. But if I say something to you, and then you say something on your audience that reaches out more people, then that would amplify, say, a sentiment that I hold. Well, Scott Adams has the ability to have it's not that he has the ability. He already has the audience of people that are thought leaders in DC and in like in major media, where Scott Adams will make a cartoon and then real smart people would be like, Elon Musk runs his company with basically this rule: don't do anything that ends up in a Dilbert comic. That's how he runs his company.
Right. But I mean, Dilbert to me was over 20 years ago. I haven't thought about Dilbert or the guy that created Dilbert until you brought his name up.
I get that.
So if it's in a Dilbert comic today, if I do something that's in a Dilbert comic tomorrow,
well,
I don't. That's not. Is that really going to ruin your company?
So
but what I'm saying is,
not,
I mean, I understand you like the guy. I'm just saying that he's and I understand what he's saying. I might not agree with it, but I understand what he's saying. I just you're talking about going up against major companies that not only control government policies and have politicians in their pockets, they basically control the world, because the Walton family can make you do whatever you want to do. If they just shut down some Walmarts and disrupt the supply chain a little bit, they can control you if you think about it. And I hate to, I'm not trying to be a doom. That's the realistic. There's families and there's those companies can destroy your life if they wanted to, could disrupt your life if you don't go with the flow. So they really don't. I don't think they care whether you stop shopping or what you stand for or whatnot. I think we've seen that the past 20 years in this country. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe could be completely wrong. I'm just a moron.
I think no. It's the thing. It's my only thing on this kind of nebulous topic that we seem to be on at the moment is that the average individual can't make any difference in anything, but specific individuals that have connections to larger pools can actually make a suggestion and I mean, we're looking at one right now. Like, this is just one old lady, but this one old lady is not only the Speaker of the House, but she's like, she has leadership.
That one old lady is one of the most powerful people in the United States and has been for a decade.
For a long time.
Probably
in terms of setting law, but also in terms of who gets
doing whatever the hell she wants,
who gets support, which Democrats get elected into office because she supports them, or she tells the machine to support them. So like, there's certain people that have access to the gears of power.
That's why I always said people get so mad and so upset at the president and Trump and Obama and all this crap. And I'm like, you people are idiots, because Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell and those are the ones that are pulling the strings, because they're the ones that's been there the longest. How many presidents have gone through under Nancy Pelosi since she's been in there?
Right.
No, I mean people don't think about that. They're the ones that's in charge.
Now, you can that can be true, and also they don't have any idea what they're doing. They have no idea what they're doing, and they're in charge. They're pulling the levers. They think they know what they're doing, and they're just wrecking stuff because they don't really know what they're doing.
They're making money. It's all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
almost
she knows what
about
she's
it.
doing
They're
that
making
guy.
Yeah.
All right,
right.
let's talk about the big news before the day runs out. So, first of all, before I even bring this up, I'll just do this. So here we have a story from Fox Business. So we are grounded in actual news. It turns out Fox Business has 69.5 out of 100. So it's not fake news, right? It's real news. So here we go. Nord Stream suffers damage to 3 offshore gas pipelines. The network operator said it was impossible to estimate Nord Stream network would be fixed and back up and running. Okay. So first thing, real news reports there was some damage. And we'll get into what Nord Stream 1 and 2 are in just a moment. This is related to this is Al Jazeera reported. Sweden warns of gas leaks on the Nord Stream 1 pipeline. A Swedish Maritime Administration spokesperson said the two leaks are in the Swedish and Danish economic zones. Okay. And there is this story from Reuters. Gas from Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline leaks into the Baltic Sea. So both Nord Stream 1, which is operational, operated by Gazprom, carrying fuel from Russia to Germany, despite the fact that Ukraine and Russia are at war. Nord Stream 1 suffered 2 gas leaks, and Nord Stream 2, which is not operational but was primed with fuel, was also damaged in the Baltic Sea. So it appears that, so this is 3 incidents of damage in a relatively close area. It appears, according to, now this is not a news website. I don't know who this is, but they are basically kind of covering this issue. Yesterday evening, pressure in the undersea Nord Stream 2 suddenly collapsed. It went from 107 pounds of pressure or something like that to like 7. So it lost like all of its pressure. The gas could be seen bubbling to the surface in the Baltic Sea near the Danish island of Bornholm. Shortly afterwards, reports came of a total collapse in the pressure of our other major undersea pipeline connection to Russia, Nord Stream 1, indicating further rupture. Essentially, Russia says you can't rule out sabotage. And that's looking very likely that it was sabotage. I think I have a photo here with a map. Let me find it. I had a photo with a map. So this is Russia and this is Germany. And Nord Stream 1 was put online in 2011, and it delivers something like 27 billion cubic meters of fuel a year to Germany. And then from Germany, it goes out to France and all of these European countries. This fuel is used not only to run vehicles, but it's used to run heat for the Germans during the winter when it's freezing, and it's also used for petrochemical products to subsidize like fertilizer and stuff for agriculture. So the whole time, this Ukrainian war over here between Ukraine and Russia has all been about fuel. It's all been about gas. It's all been about Russia getting fuel to their customers and Ukraine trying to be independent, threatening the economic, threatening the economics of Russia. So Russia wanted to secure that line to the warm water ports. They wanted to secure these oil fields, and they have gas lines that run through Ukraine. Well, by destroying Nord Stream 1 and 2, which is what has happened, they're destroyed. They're flooded with seawater. They are blown out. So by destroying this pipeline, there is no way for Germany and Russia to say, okay, we have like an agreement. We're not going to cancel the fuel line. We're going to have some, there's no way to have any kind of agreement where Russia continues to supply fuel to Germany to keep them warm and Germany supplies Russia with money. So somebody has taken out this, a point to be negotiated upon, which means that Germany will have a deficit of fuel when we go into winter, and they will not have enough petroleum products to support their agriculture system. So there is going to be a ramification of people freezing and people not eating, and not just in Germany, but in all of Europe. That's what's going to happen because this thing collapsed.
It's not like Germany doesn't have a history of making some bad mistakes.
Yeah, but why would Germany blow up the pipeline?
I'm not saying
Right.
Germany did, but Germany,
Right.
Germany was their leaders were obviously talking about supplying Russia with some money, and that probably pissed off a lot of people.
The whole time that so you have some internal politics going on too. So you have like some green parties. I think in Denmark for sure. Part of this kind of goes near Denmark. Denmark has this like real green, and they're like no fuel, no way, no. But Denmark doesn't have submarines. Germany.
How do you know?
I don't think they have submarines. UK has submarines. Germany has submarines. Russia has submarines.
I'm probably pretty sure there's a lot of private guys out there in this world that's got some damn submarines. You know,
that's possible. So it's first of all, we don't know who did this, but you can rule out a couple of things immediately. You can rule out that Russia did it because Russia doesn't need to. Russia could just be like, oh yeah, well, we'll just turn them off, and that's it. So Russia, they didn't do this. It's unlikely that Germany would cut its own throat
unless they wanted to blame it on somebody else and make it look like somebody
else.
Yeah,
so that's the false flag argument, and that is possible, but this is that's an extreme. I mean, you could have just claimed Russia. You could easily have just claimed some other technical sabotage in your own zone of influence that was like, something's damaged, we can't run it. So. I think you can rule out Russia. Now, Ukraine obviously is a suspect country that like is motivated to break that relationship, but Ukraine doesn't have submarines, or if they do, they have one, and it's not up here. So it's probably, I mean, it could be a Ukrainian agent or provocateur. Maybe they could do it with deep sea drones or something. I don't know, but unlikely. Which leaves Germany. Yeah, it leaves Germany, it leaves the UK, and it leaves the United States as the likely culprits of blowing this thing up. Or somebody with a drone, but like, I don't know. I find that to be pretty unbelievable. So
it's I don't look at it like, I don't like that word unbelievable. I use logical,
improbable,
logical and illogical. Is it logical? Is that logical that somebody could do that? Yeah. Is it probable? Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the conditions are, but like, let's see. If you were to say a civilian with a drone is able to take out a precision strike and destroy 3 pipelines at once.
No, you're going
military.
I wouldn't say. I agree. Yeah. I would say if it's civilian, they have some sort of tactical military training, or it's one of those companies that are the military companies. What's that one?
Yeah. It's like military contractors.
Yeah. I mean, if I was wanting to do something like that, of course I'd hire 14 people from my 16 freaking sub companies. You wouldn't
whether it was a private individual or military, and I'm inclined to think it was a state that did this because the ability to like knock something out, not one pipeline. One pipeline, I'd be like, somebody's up to some trouble.
Probably those other 2 pipelines were probably a backup. They probably were like, look, they probably knew.
Nord Stream 1 consisted of 2 parallel pipelines. And then I don't know about Nord Stream, but so Nord Stream 1 was 2 parallel pipelines delivering fuel. Nord Stream 2 was built but not operational. It was primed with fuel, so it had fuel in it, but it was not operational. But all 3 lines have been damaged and pressure is gone, which means it's flooded with seawater and they can't deliver anything.
Yeah, I would.
This is bad news.
Yeah, it's bad news.
Well, okay, so I mean, it's going to be bad. I mean, Europe has more energy demand than they can sustain. I don't have any numbers, but like something like 40 or 60% of Germany's energy comes from Russian fuel. So that means that this winter, people in Europe are going to be cold, and then they're going to start saying, "Hey, why can't we heat our homes?" And then they're going to start looking around at who did this and start making accusations. And they don't need evidence. All they need is like to use the same reasoning I just did. Well, who has a motivation to sever the ties between Russia and Europe? Obviously Ukraine, but probably Ukraine can't do it. Maybe the UK, maybe the United States. And so Europe politically, sentimentally, like, oh yeah, we're for Ukrainian freedom and against Russian invasion, but hold shit, we're cold. Now we don't care at all about Russia. We're cold. Who are they mad at? So we may have a problem this year. We're gonna have to see. And it really might have been the Americans. Ted Cruz's have been trying to kill Nord Stream 2 for like years. And Donald Trump warned Germany back in like 2018 at the UN. He said, you guys are making a big mistake by making yourselves dependent upon Russia for energy and fuel. And the German delegation to the UN snickered and laughed. That'll never happen. Well, now, 2022, oh my goodness, we have.
See, there's so many people that were,
So this is definitely going to be big news, and I think we're a little bit ahead of the curve here in terms of people kind of being aware of it. There is this due to the timing. So the government officials, I just want to get this out there, and then we'll go. Government officials assume that damage is intentional, and a result. Why is there noise? You can't hear the noise, but I do. One of these things is making noise. It's this one. Okay. Government officials assume that the damage is intentional and a result of an attack by foreign forces. This is a government statement. Due to the timing, the fact that 3 separate pipelines were affected, and the severe loss of pressure losses in Nord Stream 1, officials expect the worst. We can no longer imagine any scenario other than a targeted attack. A person privy to the assessment by federal government and federal authorities added, everything speaks against a coincidence. Such an attack on the seabed would be anything but trivial. It would have to be carried out with special forces, for example, by a Navy divers or Navy divers or submarine, people informed of initial assessments said. With regard to responsibility for alleged attacks, 2 possibilities are being discussed. The first is, according to initial speculation, Ukrainian or Ukrainian-affiliated forces could be responsible. With the temporary shutdown of the Nord Stream pipeline, gas deliveries from Russia to Germany and Central Europe would only be possible via the Yamal pipeline running through Poland or the Ukrainian pipeline network. So that's a statement from a government official, and it looks like I'd have to go to this German. You can't see it. It's like Tagesspiegel.de, some German stuff that I don't read German. So that's a German official statement. Yeah, bad news in the world. That's not good.
Do the DART mission, the DART one.
Oh yeah. Let me pull that.
Because I've got a couple of things for you.
For sure. Awesome. Let me pull that up. Where did it go? There it is. We mentioned yesterday that NASA was going to run a spacecraft into an asteroid. And last night at about 6:15 Central Time, they ran their spacecraft into an asteroid at 14,000 miles per hour. I got a little bit more information about it. The asteroid they ran it into was 525, I think, feet wide, but it might have been meters. And the spacecraft, the DART spacecraft, was about the size of a vending machine, and it was moving at 14,000 miles per hour.
Hang on, I'm having to email this stuff to myself from my phone so that I can pull it up.
Okay.
Here and show you. There we go. So this is let me download this stuff so that I'm not pulling it from my personal email.
Yeah. You could put it in the Discord thing. That's what we do.
I know.
These-
I just thought about it right now. So here is the
show me your screen.
yeah. This is actually, I don't know how to. Oh, there. It's on a different window. Okay, so can you
525 rock? Yeah.
That is the last photo of it before it slammed into it, because it was the speed at which this thing is moving towards it. They're moving towards each other, and the camera was taking a photo every 5 seconds and sending it back. So you got to imagine they're going so fast that 5 seconds is a long that's a long space.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's why I have this cool. Hang on, let me
it's not like there's a lot of light out there either, by the way. You know what I mean? So you probably have your aperture open very wide. Oh my.
Oh, hang on, let me do it again.
That's the 5 second
those are all of the 5 second pictures that were stitched together into a GIF.
If you look real close right there, kind of a little bit left of center, you can see a police officer has pulled over somebody. Oh no!
I just think that's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It was
we can hit an asteroid.
There's no stars. It was faked. You don't know about camera lenses then. Isn't that cool?
Oh, yeah, cool. So the aperture wasn't open long enough to capture any starlight for sure. So, anyway, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty neat. We can hit a rock with a spaceship, which is no trivial feat.
A little alien right there, a little face or something.
Yeah,
Photoshop a face into one of the rocks, or a word, help.
I mean, I acknowledge that we are technically able to do this. I still think that, like, in a real situation where we have a real impending thing happening, like the amount of energy and force and mass and to actually divert a body moving through space, it would be we don't. Okay, so like you get up in you use like so much fuel just to get something into space, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're up in space, and maybe you achieve relative orbital velocity, which is like, you're moving, but like relative to the Earth, you're now moving, like you're not going anywhere, you're just orbiting. So if you want to go, you're in space and you want to go somewhere, you got to burn more fuel to achieve acceleration, and there's nothing there, so you're not pushing against anything. So you're exerting an extreme amount of energy to move your vehicle relatively a very small amount of.
But you're speed, not. Right? I mean, you don't have to expel that much energy. Just a short burst can sometimes get you to where you want to go.
Right.
To get
so
that
is short acceleration, and because there's no because there's only limited. Because there's nothing else out there, you can maintain velocity. So you take a lot of energy to get going a little bit, but then you get to keep going. Okay, so you maintain your inertia. Right. But, okay, so what we don't have is very efficient engines, because you would get much higher velocity. I'm going to get to a point, I promise. You could get much higher velocity if you had engines that could run for a longer amount of time. More time spent running is more energy added, and then more velocity. As the velocity ramps up, you can keep it going. You continue to accelerate. You maintain acceleration, and then you go at higher and higher speeds. So however fast this thing was going, it probably got that amount of speed early on and made little adjustments, but it was like moving at 14,000 miles an hour for early on. If you could make this little soda machine thing go faster by running your engines longer, which is going to mean more fuel or different kinds of engines, then you can have more velocity when you reach the impact target, which means if you can have 2 or 3 times more velocity, you can have way more impact at the moment of kinetic impact. So
we don't have the technology for the engines yet until we can get away from combustion technology.
Right. And even something like they have these, NASA talked about these prototype ion drives or whatever, they could run lower power output, but they could run, because they're like nuclear emission of like ions or whatever, they can just keep going for a longer time. So they can't over a long period of time achieve a higher velocity, but it takes a long time, and we don't even have any that do anything. We certainly cannot achieve orbital. Orbital. Anyway, that's all we really got this morning, unless you got anything else you need. I do want to, I just think this is this Europe thing is going to be a big bad problem. So, let's do one more while we wait for Deacon to come back and we'll say goodbye. Let's talk about where's she at? Here she is. The press secretary waffles on complicated rising crime rates and safety in major cities. So the White House on Monday tried to downplay President Joe Biden's responsibilities on crime, telling reporters that the problem is complicated. Fox News reporter Peter Doocy questioned White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre about crime during the daily briefing, asking her whether Biden believes that America's major cities are safe. Referring to a recent New York Times article on rising crime, Jean-Pierre noted that crime is complicated and multifaceted, and pivoted to promoting Biden's spending bills. Yeah. Peter Doocy noted murder rates in major cities were stubbornly high, and thefts and robberies in major cities increased by 20% in the first half of 2022. Jean-Pierre responded by blaming high crime rates on former President Trump, noting that Biden inherited a rising crime rate when he took office. Doesn't that just sound like absolute bullshit?
They always blame it on whoever was in the office before. That's nothing new. They always do that shit.
You remember Press Secretary Peppermint Patty? She said on MSNBC or NBC's Meet the Press the other day, in Pennsylvania, that's the Fetterman-Oz race, Republicans have been spending millions of dollars on the air on crime ads against Fetterman because that's what they see his vulnerability. Psaki said in an interview, adding that crime was a huge issue in Pennsylvania. Apparently, Psaki, the former Biden press secretary, said if the midterm elections are a referendum on Biden, then Democrats will lose. She was the Biden press secretary. She also said that if it's a referendum on extremism, then the Republicans will lose because the Democrats are, running with the soul of the nation. Biden, Hitler, MAGA is bad stuff. So anyway, that's where we're at. That's where we're at today, but it's only Tuesday.
Sorry, dude.
And
I'm having some problems at the radio station.
It's okay. We're all good. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for ever watching, everybody. If you haven't already, please hit like. We'll be back tomorrow. We got more news. I'm sure we'll figure this European thing out. It's probably no big deal. No big deal. You got this thing. It's all Deacon, DKN. Pronounce it for me.
Deacon.
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 Oh, Deacon. Gotcha.
Deacon.
Yeah.
Can't you read?
I'm college educated, dude. I'm college educated. All right. I got to go figure out how to get the government to give me some more money.
Good luck.
Yeah. And it's going to happen.